Get ready to be entertained, folks, because this Karine Jean Pierre at the White House presser, this thing goes off the rails.
You mentioned the president's excited to be celebrating his birthday, but I'm curious, David Axelrod told the New York Times, quote, Biden thinks he can cheat nature here and it's really risky. A, what's the president's response to David Axelrod? Does he respect his opinion?
Is he talking about the same David Axelrod that Biden just called a prick?
Does he think he's right? But also, I mean, is there a real alarm happening behind the scenes that the president is simply too old to stake around for another 4 years?
No, there's no alarm happening behind the scenes. I can only speak behind the scenes here. There's no alarm happening behind the scenes, and I'm certainly not going to comment on everybody who has something to say.
I mean, David Axelrod
I didn't say that.
To quote Karine, she literally just said that. Seriously.
Look, and also, it's just not my job. It's not my job to think through or to tell people what to think, right? Whether it's the American people out there or a political analyst or as your question is about David Axelrod. It's just not my place to speak to that. What I can speak to is how we see this, what our perspective is. Our perspective is that it's not about age. It's about the president's experience. That's what we believe. And it's, as they say, the proof is in the pudding.
Thank you. And I love your ears. I love them. They're really cool. What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine, what a beautiful name. That's my mommy's name. Well, nice to see. How old are you, 17? 6.
He's been able to manage multiple foreign policy challenges. He's been able to do that. That's because of his experience.
Oh yeah, give us some more of that experience that leaves billions behind in Afghanistan, billions of dollars of military equipment that's now showing up in the hands of Hamas.
He's been able to create jobs, raise wages, and lower inflation, right? And the proof is in the pudding, right? We see that in the data. We see that where we are today than where we were when the president walked into the administration. So what we say is we have to judge him by what he's done, not by his numbers.
I get it. It's a tough job having to go out there and tell Biden's lies all the time. But since President Biden took office, prices have increased cumulatively by 17.4%, while hourly wages have only increased 13%. And looking at the past 7 presidents, only Jimmy Carter had a bigger inflation rate of 26.2% at a similar point in his presidency. Donald Trump's was only 5.6%. Even George Bush was only 5.4%. Despite Democrats' relentless efforts to claim otherwise, Biden's economic track record is lacking at best.
And so, look, I would put the president's stamina, president's wisdom, ability to get this done on behalf of the American people against anyone on any day of the week.
Stamina, baby.
Thank you, as always. I want to ask about...
I might regret it, but go ahead.
I assure you, you will not.
I assure you she will.
I want to ask about polling. In February, the president conducted an interview with, I believe it was Telemundo, and he was asked about the dismal state of his job approval ratings. And he answered in words to this effect, do you know anyone that believes the polling these days? And he talked in some detail about the difficulty of getting people on the phone and compiling accurate polling. Whenever you're asked about the president's dismal job approval ratings, you say we're not going to look at polls, we look at his accomplishments. And yet when you are asked about various domestic policy initiatives, you will say these poll very well. People support what the president wants to do. If you look at the individual subjects on the polling, they support what the president's agenda is. So once and for all, are only certain polls valid in your eyes, the ones that support your agenda, or is the polling data that shows that President Biden has been stuck for 2 years at the low 40s in his approval ratings, are those valid?
But in more broad terms, in general, we're not focused on every poll. We just are not. It is not important for us that we believe to focus on that. We're going to continue to do the work and work on protecting Medicare and Medicaid and making sure that Americans have their Social Security. And And I think by saying that Americans support that, that is important for us to say that from here too, because we are actually delivering for the American people. We're actually doing what the American people want us to do.
What planet is this woman from? The border is wide open. New York is having to cut billions, a historic budget cut in New York from their services for the citizens of the country. Gosh, we still have rampant inflation. We're $33 trillion in the hole. America can see that the justice system is weaponized, and they keep doubling down.
So the polls that show that the electorate at large and also significant majorities within the Democratic Party believe that the president is too old. The polls that show the American people and also significant majorities within the Democratic Party don't want him to run again. And the polls that show his handling of the economy, foreign policy, all of these dismal polls, his job approval ratings, does the White House have any basis to challenge the accuracy of that polling?
I'm not challenging the accuracy here. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying to you is that, we're not going to change the minds of Americans. I get that.
The minds of Americans will change when the situation changes.
Karine, what does the White House make of Democrats and particularly young people who say they do not approve of the president's handling of the Israel-Hamas war?
So look, as I'm going to be mindful, right, because there's going to be a number of polls that are going to be coming out, which, obviously, which we respect, and obviously that is kind of the way that things go. But what I'll be very clear about is we're not going to govern by polls here. We're going to, or poll numbers. We're going to focus on delivering for the American people. That's going to be our focus.
They're not delivering for the American people. They're delivering for Ukraine. They're delivering for Israel. They gave over $100 billion to fight foreign wars and build border walls over there so they can protect their borders. But ours, do you know that 2.2 pounds of fentanyl is capable of killing up to 500,000 people? Last week, Border Patrol seized 300 pounds of fentanyl in Tucson, Arizona. 14,300 people were caught crossing into Tucson last week, including armed men, smugglers, and known criminals. And that's just one section of the border. If you want to deliver for the American people, please, by all means, do. The wall was going to be $18 billion over 10 years. And the same uniparty hacks who have voted to send all this money overseas to protect other countries' borders are the same people who don't have the guts to build a wall on our southern border.
Then maybe polling aside, can you say whether this White House has a theory of the case on how you win over young people, whether it's on this conflict specifically or generally?
So look, when we say win, I'm going to be very careful, right? Don't want to make sure I'm not speaking to 2024. That is something certainly that the campaign can analyze and speak to more broadly, and how that looks for them and how it looks for that campaign, the president re-election. What I can say is we're going to continue focusing on delivering for the American people. That includes young people.
They're focusing on you, people. They are focusing on you. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe and go check out MyPillow, mypillow.com, promo code Lumberjack for big savings. Get some of these towels. They are the greatest towels known to man. And they come with this nice ribbon around them. They're perfect for Christmas. Go get some. MyPillow.com, promo code Lumberjack. Peace out.